Hi everybody, Martin Cowan again back. Our second from last interview. I've got Brian Garvan, who's head of Northern Europe from Wanup, which is a nice startup. Didn't win the TTE Disrupt, unfortunately. Got my vote, but I thought it's a nice sort of hotel loyalty play. Brian, maybe go into a bit more detail, if you could,
sure.
please.
I mean, Wanup is a loyalty program, a hotel loyalty program for independent hotels and small to medium-sized chains. So to give you a little idea about sort of the rationale and the reason for the program's existence, we've obviously seen a lot of the major hotel chains invest very heavily in their loyalty programs and in their book direct strategies. So you've seen this through the sort of the stop clicking around campaigns that Hilton have led. You've seen it in the merger between Marriott and Starwood. It was one of the sort of the leading reasons behind that, the strength of the user base. So those tactics and strategies that are being developed and invested in by the large chains are often difficult for smaller independent hotels to replicate, to emulate, to get involved with. So what Wanup does is really tries to create a global alliance of hotels that can, and tools that can help them leverage the same tactics and strategies that the big hotel chains are using.
Okay, so you've got individual boutique hotels as part of an alliance. Are you directly contracting, for want of a better word, these hotels? So have you got feet on the street?
Yeah,
asking
absolutely.
people to sign up, and just wondering what sort of interest these independent hoteliers who might not have been part of the loyalty scheme because they thought the tech was too complicated or the costs were too prohibitive. What sort of conversations you're having with your potential alliance members?
So lots of questions there. To answer some of them, I mean, the company was set up, launched in September 2016, so we're not quite 18 months old yet. And a measure of some of the interest that's been generated is that we've now got over 900 hotels contracted directly to our services across Europe. A handful actually in the Caribbean as well. And then we also supplement some of that in areas where we haven't got as much supply yet as we would like to have directly contracted through some third-party sources of demand. In terms of sales force, we've absolutely got feet on the ground with a sort of a team that's out working directly with hotels in the different markets, as well as an account management team back at the head office in Barcelona. And we've got teams in Germany, in the UK, in Spain and Italy, and in France. So,
I mean, it does sound like for a business that's been around for 18 months, you've got 900 members, hotels. I mean, in terms of sort of like loyalty, actual sort of guests participating in the loyalty scheme itself, I mean, what sort of volumes are you seeing there?
So at the moment, the sign-up, guests is being signed up by the member properties. So it's a bit of a exponential curve or a snowball effect. As more hotels come on board, the rate of sign-up grows. We've got today between 900,000 and 1 million members who are signed up to the program. And obviously,
sorry, how many?
Between 900,000 and 1 million members.
Gosh.
That are signed up as Wanup members. Of course, within that group, you've got varying, levels of activity, and many of those will be less active than others. But we've got a core of a few thousand very active members who are pushing up through the tiers and joining sort of the higher tiers of the program. So.
Okay, and one of the things that interested me in your startup pitch yesterday was the redemption of the points. So it's, I mean, one of the headwinds in the whole loyalty space generally is people accumulating points and then they're just sitting as a liability on brands' websites. I mean, how do you incentivize people to cash in their points and the benefits that they can get as a result of that?
So there's a lot of different things to say about that. I mean, first of all, we undertook a study last year amongst 5,000 frequent business travellers across Europe in the 5 sort of main markets. And one of the things that we discovered within that study was some of the pain points that people had with existing loyalty programs, notably the lack of transparency around points-based programs where people would have to spend many nights before they could accumulate enough points to be able to redeem, and then they might find that their points one year would be worth a different amount to the next year because of, there'd be devaluation of the redemption and all this type of thing. So our program is very straightforward. We allow users to collect travel cash, which is basically virtual currency in either GBP, euros or Swiss francs, that they can keep in their own account. And they're always in positive credit. So whether you're making a booking for the first time at a member hotel, or whether you're redeeming, you're still earning credit back into that account. So it's always in positive territory. And you can redeem either partially or in entirety against the stay. And then we're also introducing new partnership deals. So you're going to be able to redeem your travel cash with partners such as Netflix, such as Strava for those that want to get out. And so we're really trying to develop this crossover marketing approach that gives people the opportunity to redeem rewards that they're earning while they're traveling for services that they can use on their trips as suits them.
Okay, I mean, I mentioned at the start of this interview that we've got a very good relationship with the startup community, and that, we're proud of that. We will continue to fight the corner for startups. It's getting increasingly difficult, particularly in the hotel space, when you have businesses the size of Expedia and Priceline. And my question that I always ask to any hotel startup is how do you compete against businesses of that scale, and what is the gap in the market that you think that you can identify that they won't be able to fulfill?
Well, yeah, so there's a number of things to say on that. I mean, first of all, we're almost there. Our business exists almost as a response to the growth of those models. If you look at an interesting trivia stat, 2% of business into London in 2001 came from OTAs. Last year it was between 55 and 60% on average. So that's clearly a colossal growth. And along with that, there's been a corresponding growth in the average cost of sale. And where's that money flowing? It's going through the OTAs, but then it's also being spent very heavily on Google. So we're taking a different approach, and that's really what loyalty is. It's to try and help guests address three main areas. The first of all is managing the cost of distribution. It's not to say that we're ever going to replace the OTAs. They offer a very valuable service, but our hotels actually understanding their mix, and are they getting the balance right? I think there is an opportunity for hotels to understand their customers better, and to bring in more business direct, and therefore to moderate and control their cost of sale. So what they've already seen grow from 2 to 60% doesn't grow to 80% and beyond. Those OTAs as well, it's not just about cost of sale, it's about understanding your customer and adding value to your customer through the stay process. So some of the details are not always transparent to the hotels before the guest arrives. So communication in advance, communication with the guest while they're on property is difficult. And our program doesn't just address the giving of rewards, but it addresses the capturing of the guest's information, understanding of the guest, and improving service levels while the guest is on property. So we have a whole perks system that members of the program get access to. So a lot of the stuff that you'll be familiar with, such as early check-ins, late checkouts, discounts on food and beverages, and then as you rise up through the tiers of membership, you unlock access to more bespoke perks.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. We've talked to a few hotel tech people over the course of the days, and there does seem to be the on-property experience seems to be an area in which the hotel itself can take ownership of the customer. So, as far as I'm aware, and at the time of writing, I'm not sure to what extent Expedia or Priceline, having booked the customer into the hotel, can then deliver the experience for the hotel. So it's interesting. So one sort of final question. I mean, you've been around for 18 months. You've got 900 hotels and 900,000 members. That's pretty good for 18 months. I mean, what's the next stage now for Wanup as a business? I mean,
I think there's still growth in Europe for us. There's been
growth in hotel inventory, or
growth in hotel inventory, and growth territorial growth as well. The company, as I mentioned, is headquartered in Barcelona. Our real strength is in Spain and Italy, and we've seen very fast growth in France and the UK. We're now moving into Germany, and we're looking to get more on the gem markets. That's going to be a big focus over the next 12 months. Northern Europe in general, Scandinavian region, and then of course there's always the US. And there's a big culture of loyalty in the US, albeit the independent sector isn't necessarily quite as well catered for in terms of loyalty support. So we're looking at that as well. And we attended the Focusrite conference over in Fort Lauderdale at the end of last year, where we were up for another Disrupt Award. I think we got the runners-up prize again. Forever the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I think it shows a degree of interest in the concept, and yeah, so that's a bit of what we're focused on for the coming months, and then developing some of those additional services that add value for the members. So I talked about the ability to redeem points for Netflix, for Strava, for other types of online services. We're also now giving members who reach our top tiers access to frequent flyer lounges through a partnership with Collinson Group, Priority Pass service. So watch this space for more developments in that area.
Okay, well if we do tnoozLIVE at TTE next year, maybe you won't be part of the startup, maybe you'll be part of the second stage startup or the early stage startup. But Brian, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of a busy schedule. I think I've got one more interview lined up, and then it will be a wrap. But just hold tight, I'll be back shortly. Thanks very much.